Chopstick. Good table manners are highly regarded in Japanese culture, and correctly using chopsticks is an important part of polite dining. So when using chopsticks in Japan, don't step or cut your food with them. Instead, you should lift the food as it is to your mouth. Don't point at something with your chopsticks, as this is rude in Japanese culture. Meanwhile, you should never leave your chopsticks sticking upright in a bowl of rice, as this is associated with funeral customs. Instead, place them on the chopstick rest in between bites or when you finish eating. Bowing. Bowing, known as ojigi, is the traditional form of greeting in Japan. However, bowing can also be used to indicate gratitude, congratulations, or an apology. In casual daily situations, a bow is often a simple nod of the head. Meanwhile, a longer and deeper bow is more respectful and can signify a formal apology or sincere thanks. Don't worry if you're just visiting. It's completely acceptable for foreigners to shake hands in Japan. Bedroom slippers. In Japanese homes, there's typically an area inside the front door, known as genkan, where people swap their shoes for house slippers. Going to the bedroom involves changing slippers again, as cleanliness is an inherent part of Japanese culture. The most important thing to remember is to swap slippers again as soon as you leave the bedroom. It's considered very embarrassing to leave bedroom slippers on when you re-enter a living space. Anime. One of Japan's best-known cultural exports, anime is popular on a global scale. Anime refers to Japanese animation that's either hand-drawn or created digitally. Although Japanese anime accounted for 60% of the world's animation in 2016, its biggest impact has been on modern Japanese culture. If you travel around the country, look out for anime statues, snacks in theme packaging, and character-based advertising. Slurping noodles. There are lots of interesting dining traditions in Japan, but slurping noodles has to be one of the most fun. When Japanese dinner slurp their noodles, it's been as both a sound of enjoyment and a compliment to the chef. So next time you order ramen or yakisoba in Japan, feel free to slurp to your heart's content. Eating sushi. Sushi isn't just one of Japan's most popular dishes. It is loved all over the globe. If you want to embrace Japanese culture, it was perfecting the way you eat it. The traditional way to eat maki and nigiri sushi is with the fingers, while sashimi is eaten with chopsticks. It is also worth remembering that when dipping sushi in soy sauce, only the fish should touch the sauce. Rice soaks up too much soy sauce, so Japanese people tend to avoid doing this. Meanwhile, the only time mixing wasabi and soy sauce together is acceptable is when eating sashimi. Chankona Bay. Most frequently associated with sumo wrestlers, Chankona Bay is a traditional Japanese stew, packed with fish, vegetables, meats, and tofu. This high-calorie dish is eaten daily by sumo wrestlers. Sumo wrestlers eat Chankona Bay with bowls of rice, and it provides them with the necessary nutrients for their training. Onsen etiquette. Visitors to onsens or hot springs bath are required to bathe naked in Japan. Traditional onsens do not allow swim seats, so everyone must shower thoroughly before entering the bath. This means that visitors leave their clothes and large towels in the locker room and take just a small towel with them to the bathing area. As there's usually nowhere to put the small towels, the traditional solution is to put it on your head. Literacy. At a rate of almost 100%, Japan's literacy rate is one of the highest in the world. This is largely thanks to the country's excellent education system. which is compulsory at the levels of elementary and junior high school. Japan's wealth of great writers may also be linked to the country's focus on literacy. You can experience Japanese literature for yourself by reading the works of some of the nation's best authors. Fugu. Every year, incorrectly prepared fugu causes food poisoning in Japan. Fugu, Japan's toxic blowfish, is one of the most lethal natural products on the planet. Yet it remains an expensive and sought after delicacy in Japan. Chefs must train for a minimum of 3 years before undertaking an examination to legally cook and serve it.
Morning exercise. Healthy is important to Japanese culture and the country tradition of morning exercise, reflecting that Rangyo Taiso introduction by Emperor Hirohito is a radiant exercise program that been broadcast daily since 1928. It's played every morning for 10 minutes and is most likely followed by school children and the elderly. Sitting Caesar. Caesar, which means sitting with your leg folded underneath you, is the traditional way to sit on Japanese tatami floor. At more casinos, sitting Caesar is considered appropriate and respectful. Even so, it's difficult position for the average person to hold. Other Japanese people sometimes sit with their leg out in the front of them, which is completely acceptable. Cold and allergy. When you suffer for a cold or high fever in Japan, it's polite to wear a mask. Japanese people also avoid blowing their nose in public as is seen as a rule. Bathing. In Japan, bath at home is for relaxation rather than for a cleaning. So Japanese people do not use soap in their baths. Instead, they shower first and then soak in the bath afterwards, whilst eating or smoking. Walking down the street while eating is not acceptable in Japan, so you will sometimes see people standing by vending machines finishing their drink or snack. Meanwhile, smoking while walking is illegal in many areas. They are designing smoking areas, so do not light it until you reach one. Coffee. Although tea is a huge part of Japanese culture, the nation is also known for its love of high quality Jamaican coffee. About 17% of Jamaica exporting Blue Mountain Cafe goes to Japan. Geisha. A geisha, which translation as a performance art in English, is a traditional female entertainer, although surprisingly the first geisha were men. As time passes, it's become a redundant as a mostly female professional, and today, geisha are still much loved part of Japanese culture. Pouring drinking. The Japanese consider it impolite to pour your own drink at dinner parties, so it's best to pour everyone else drinking and then wait for someone else to pour yours. Oshibori. Japanese restaurants often give customers a mouse towel known as oshibori to clean their hands before eating, depending on the season. The towel will be cold or hot. Just do not use it to clean your face or use it throughout the meal. Nonviable communication. For most Japanese people, nonverbal communication is an important part of society international. In Japan, facial expression, tone of voice, and body language are all seen as influencing on the tone of conversation. Words can have various meanings, so Japan people often observing non-verbal signals to work out what someone really means.